Hi there, and welcome to Recovering Boldly with Quest Center. I am Courtney, your host. This is a space where we celebrate real stories of resilience, healing, and transformation. Each episode, we'll talk with inspiring guests who share their journeys navigating mental health challenges, addiction, chronic pain, and more, offering honest insight and celebrating the courage it takes to reclaim hope and live boldly as your authentic self. A bit of background on Quest Center. Quest is a nonprofit health center based in Portland, Oregon, with a mission to provide integrative healthcare services, community, and education to all people seeking a wellness-focused approach to living and dying. Our programs in HIV services, substance use recovery, chronic pain management, mental health, acupuncture, and holistic medical care recognize that each person has a unique journey to healing. In addition to offerings like individual and group therapy, our programs take an integrative approach to wellness, including elements such as peer support, wellness movement, nutrition, and at the heart of it all, community. If you'd like to learn more about any of our services or how to get engaged, please visit our website at www.quest-center.org.
My name is Jamie LaCour. I go by she, her, and I came to Quest via the OHSU program. I hadn't heard of it before. I had been to a pain clinic before, but it was a sports-based pain clinic.
Okay.
Which wasn't entirely unhelpful, but not nearly the same benefit from.
Yeah, how long has chronic pain been part of your life?
As long as I can remember, really.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, it was mostly my knees.
Okay.
That hurt all the time. I was pretty outdoorsy. I spent a lot of the time climbing trees and doing gymnastics type stuff. I was outside a lot. But I couldn't run and things I would just collapse because they would give out.
I'm sure it's confusing as being a kid.
It was confusing because no one ever tried to figure out why that was happening. But in gym, I did, the teachers could see it happening. At first, they're like, "Oh, come on," and then they're like, "No, she's going down." She just doesn't have to run track here.
Wait a minute.
Yeah. And then I think by the time I was a teenager, I was already having back issues. When I was a preteen, my tailbone slipped over the top of my spine for no apparent reason. I was not engaged in any activities or anything. It just slid out of place, and I had to go to the urgent care and have it put back. And then I've had a lot of falls because I did a lot of gymnastics. I had falls even back then. But it was also just I would always have weird pains, and people would just be like, "Oh, it's just growing pains. You'll get over it." But weird, it's almost like you're just right here for no reason, and it's just and then it just disappears and goes away. So that's been happening most of my life. And then when I was a teenager, mid-teenager is when my backs really started going. But then I was a young mom.
Okay.
So when I was pregnant, I sprained my ribs also because there was no room for her to be. So they just, at 6 months, they got sprained, and then they just kept going out and becoming more sprained. And that probably didn't help my back a lot. I had been in a couple of car accidents by the time I was 20, which also probably didn't help. And then by the time I was in my early 20s, it was my calves, my feet, all of my back. And then it just got worse from there to now, where it's very far spinal degradation and neck issues. My neck is probably the worst spot. But my hips, I've taken a hip fall. I've taken a number of other falls as an adult. I've had multiple head injuries.
Wow. Yeah.
So there's been a lot of pain in that way, but then there's other health things that I think contribute to pain too. I've always been someone who gets sick overly, if that makes sense.
Tell me more.
So when I was younger and I would get strep throat, I would have it for 6 months. They would just keep on cycling the antibiotics on me. I had ulcers when I was 9 or 10, and they didn't do anything because they said I was too young to have ulcers. And then later in my teens, I had bladder infection issues and respiratory infection issues, and those also, they would go on for a long time, and they would keep giving me antibiotics. I had IBS, which back then was not, they knew about it, but it wasn't really recognized yet, so they treated me for spastic colon instead because that was the medicine that the insurance would cover. So there was just a lot of those types of things going on, and so far we've only gotten to age 20.
Oh my goodness.
So it's just, like a mosquito bite. I've been to urgent care for a mosquito bite before because my
Yeah.
whole arm was infected.
Wow.
Just like
So,
when I got conjunctivitis when I was younger. Within the first 2 days, I went from having a tiny hint that maybe you might be getting that, a little bit of crusties, to my eyes were so glued shut that they had to take me to the hospital and have them put solution on my eyes to dissolve because even like hot cloths and stuff wouldn't break it up at all.
wow.
Yeah.
So
So,
at what point have you found out why that is or
well, I've known for a
what's
while
going
that I have
on?
multiple autoimmune conditions. When I was
Okay.
in my late teens, I started doing a lot of my own research, and I've had psoriasis since I was really young too. And that's an autoimmune condition also. I started just looking into herbs, and that's how I got over some of it. I met some people. I used to work at a domestic violence shelter, and I met some people who were really into herbs.
Cool.
And a woman who I worked with turned me on to dandelion root and rose hips and vitamin C, and instead of antibiotics for my bladder infections. And so
Oh,
several
nice.
years of back and forth and all of this, of this like months wide thing, and then a little break.
Right.
After that, I didn't get them again for like 6 months. So after that, I just started doing for like 5 years. I did a dandelion regimen, I called it, every spring. And I just like stopped getting bladder infections.
Wow, that's very cool.
And let's go back a little. The ulcers that no one ever treated, we had a family friend who ended up working at a Eclectic Institute, which is a place that makes herbal tinctures and
Okay.
ointments and things. They were new back then, but she brought us a box full of stuff that had made. Like it didn't even have labels on it yet or anything because it was so new. And they had something called oh, now I cannot remember. It has like turkey rhubarb and spearmint and a couple of other things, but it's like a stomach tincture.
Uh-huh.
And within like less than a year, I stopped having the stomach problems. And I had been missing. The whole reason that got me in the appointment for that was because I'd been missing so much school, like 100 days in 1 year. Yeah. So they were looking at that stuff, but they never looked at why I kept having stuff.
So
Like it
frustrating.
wouldn't resolve.
Right.
And then when I was in my late 20s, I had another baby, and I don't think they got all of the material out or something. Also, I had gone past the 12 hours from when my water breached, which is an infection thing.
Okay.
At 12 hours, they usually want to go in or induce or whatever. And they did make that decision with me, but I ended up with probably about 15 hours of from the breach time. So that could be part of it, but I ended up with really bad endometriosis from that. And I lost my insurance at the same time because back then, Oregon Health Plan was not available to everyone. The list was literally closed and no one was even allowed to apply. So for 4 years, I went in and out of the emergency room and was losing blood at a rate that made me extremely anemic. I had sleep apnea that I didn't know I had. So if you fast forward the 4 years, I'm going to leave out some of the gruesome details, but there was a lot of blood loss. Like I could not leave my house on a regular basis.
How scary.
And it was.
Yeah.
And they couldn't do anything for me at the emergency room because they're designed to help people who have an acute issue. So they'd say, you got to do a follow-up appointment. It costs $185 to get in the front door without insurance.
Right.
So that was a barrier. So I just was sick for all of that time. My mom spent a lot of time coming over and trying to help and stuff. When I did get insurance, I showed up in my first doctor's appointment with an iron level of 6.4. They wanted me to have a blood transfusion. Like they wanted to call me an ambulance and send me to the hospital. I had to sign a form because I asked her, I'm like, well, am I going to drop dead or something? And she's like, I don't know how you're not. Like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, but the fact is I'm not, and I've been surviving. So what are my other options? And we've talked about iron pills and eating more iron. We had a funny moment because the woman helping me was a vegetarian, and she's like, I can't believe I'm saying this, but you need to eat red meat every day. Don't tell anyone I said that.
Hilarious.
I know, she was like in disbelief, shaking her head while she said it.
Yeah.
But I ended up signing the decline paperwork for the hospital stuff, and I took iron 3 times a day, and I ate beans and red meat every single day.
And that helped.
And it did. It slowly, we could see the numbers coming up. I don't remember how long exactly it took me to get up to like a good healthy 12 to 14 or whatever. But, and then she also sent me to the sleep doctor, which was a huge thing because I was like narcoleptically falling out. And when I got to the sleep doctor, they told me my oxygen level, my saturation was down to 43% at some points during the night, which made
Wow.
a sudden sense why I could no longer add and things like that, simple tasks. And previous to all of this, like growing up, I was very fast, very smart, almost eidetic memory type of stuff. And then by this time, I was finding myself in a place where we're playing cards and I'm carrying numbers for 16 plus 22. Okay.
You're like, what's going on?
Yeah, what is happening? So, that helped a lot.
That's huge.
Yeah,
What a
when I
realization.
once I got on board with my sleep apnea machine, it takes a while and something strapped to the top of your head and sleeping. But once I got on board with doing it every day, I stopped narcoleptically falling asleep so I could take my kids in public alone by myself again,
Yeah.
which was nice. Gosh, there's so like I'm just brain dumping on you because there's so
Yeah,
much,
I
and
mean,
all of those things contribute to what got me here.
yeah.
You know, every single bit of it. Here's a fun one. I ended up in the hospital with the mumps, like a few days after my MMR shot when I was 12 or 13. I can't remember
Really?
which year I got it because I know my mom got a note from the school saying I hadn't had my vaccine. And so I had to they made me stay home a couple days and then she took me in and that's how I remember but my birthday's January 31st. So, and I think they do that in the spring. So they might have done it when I was still only 12, saying that I needed to do it. But I remember doing that. I was hanging out with my friend and I called my mom. I'm like, Mom, something's the matter. My throat is closing up. I can't barely breathe. This is not what normally happens. I need you to come get me. And she came because she knew if I was actually complaining, then something was really the matter.
Gosh, yeah.
Yeah, so she came and got me, and I remember getting in the car, and she was asking me like litmus test questions. I recognized that right away. I'm like, oh no, I'm in bigger trouble than I thought because Mom's asking me these questions. And I passed out. Like I was unconscious before I got to the hospital. And when I woke up, I was already in my own, not in the emergency room, but in my own room.
Okay.
And then I was there for several days before my swallow tests would go and things like that. And even then they said, well, it can't be, they didn't talk to me about autoimmune things back then, but they just said, well, it can't be the shot because you must have been exposed to one of the other one person in the world who is going to get mumps because it's pretty much eradicated now.
Wow.
And so, yeah, so that didn't go anywhere with that.
So you've had a lot of experience with the healthcare system.
Yes, I have. When I had, I've had a heat stroke. That was super fun.
Really? Oh no.
And then I had DKA, diabetic ketoacidosis. That one was that was in 2019. That was a more recent one. That was ICU stay. I'm told that they had to revive me, although I don't remember that part because I passed out in the triage room.
Wow.
And I woke up in the elevator on the way up to ICU, and they're like, "You're here, stay with us." I thought I was having a heart attack. I came into the emergency room, and I'm like, "I think I'm having a heart attack," and they're like, "Why do you think that?" And I said, "Well, I'm over 35. I'm this size, it's undisclosed amount of weight, which I did disclose to them. And I'm having these chest pains, and my resting heart rate is over 120, and I'm having trouble breathing. I'm dizzy. When I was trying to put pants on before I left, I fell into the closet doors because I just couldn't stand up.
Yeah.
I was having what they told me was massive organ failure, pretty much. So, and I called an Uber.
Oh my gosh.
My partner was like, let me call you an ambulance. Let me call you an ambulance. And if you knew this old man who grew up on a farm wants me to call an ambulance, I should have listened to him.
Oh.
Because he does not.
Right? Yeah, probably
care,
never. Huh?
Yeah. So I got there, and they were like, oh, and I started to try and get my ID. They're like, well, get it later. Yeah. And they just grabbed me and started hooking stuff up to me or whatever. And so those things have been like the heat stroke was pretty impactful. And the DKA was extremely impactful. Like suddenly, and cellulitis, I'm a 2-time cellulitis winner. Infection that goes in to underneath your skin, and then when it breaks the barrier and gets into your blood, you get cellulitis, and then you can go septic. So one of those included me coming back to the hospital because my blood had started to do what they called turning to sludge. So I had to keep coming back to make sure that they had done IV antibiotics and then given me a ton of pills too.
Yeah.
So all of those things kind of change the things that I tolerate too. One of the big things about being in chronic pain like this all the time is that you already feel isolated because first of all, you get gaslit a lot because if other people don't understand it, they just pretend it doesn't exist and say you're inventing it or it's not possible. If I had $1 for every time I wasn't old enough to have this problem, so and then you're stuck inside and there's nothing and you're also you can't do stuff for yourself sometimes, so you get down on yourself, so there's a lot of depression and anxiety and feeling like you're useless and that it's not worth other people's time for you to be around because you're like a burden on them and stuff. And so then when you get isolated in that way also, it made a nice mix for a huge suicidal spiral that was not good.
Gosh, yeah.
So
yeah.
So I was glad to see some of that over, but it's just like those little things that people don't think will impact you. And my experience with the MMR shot, I'm very hesitant to take any kinds of shots now. And so that was another thing. I once got told that I deserved to die, that by a medical professional. I was told that because I wouldn't take the shot because I was worried because of my previous experience. She said, well, you don't deserve medical care. You just should stay home and die then. That was only one person. That was not a representation of the medical community at whole, and not at all. But it was those individual
something you don't forget.
That was the worst one. But there was a few other incidences. But then there were other people who were very supportive. Like in fact, I just was done with that place. I was just not going to go back to that doctor's office. And I got called about a piece of paperwork because they needed something signed because it had been a phone appointment and I hadn't been there to sign it or whatever. And I said, well, is it for future services or for something that already happened? Because if it's for future services, it won't matter because I'm not going to come back to your clinic for any reason.
Yeah.
And then she got interested and she said, well, it is for the past appointment, but would you mind talking to me a little bit? Like, what happened? So I told her, and they actually brought it up to someone else, and I was not subjected to that person again. They apologized for my experience.
Yeah.
And the whole thing.
That's
but
good that they could.
But that's like kind of the extremity that happens over your whole life, though, because people are very strong. They get a really strong feeling about this is what has to happen, and if you're not on board with that, then you're just not trying hard enough. You haven't done your legwork, and you're like, no, I've done like 10 more things that you've already listed.
Yeah.
Which is again how people went here. Some people think it's weird that I'm going to spend this much time in appointments. And I'm like, well, if you didn't have your another choice, I can't show up to anything else if I don't do the work of this.
Right.
And
so what do you expect?
Yeah, so what do you expect? You have how many appointments this week? It's making me be able to get, not only can I get to all of these appointments, I'm able to get to a bunch of other stuff now. And I couldn't do that before. So it is a lot of extra work, and it seems like maybe I'm putting too much of my energy in that spot, but if I don't put it there, then it's all gone for over here.
Yeah, I don't see it that way at all.
So I know I kind of do derailing storytelling.
Oh yeah,
so feel free to bring it back.
Well, I thought you said something really interesting about OHP, and so I'm curious to know more about like at what point were you able to get back on OHP?
Okay, so well, first, the interesting conditions of me losing my OHP was very circumstantial. My husband at the time had some overtime because one of the other staff had walked out like same day on the job and they needed coverage. So he was like, sure, I'll take the extra hours. We can use the money. Well, at that time, OHP renewed your eligibility based on the last 3 months of income, no matter what, period, and turn the page. So because he got that overtime, and they denied us. So then I did an appeal and I said that wasn't his regular income. I had his boss write a letter saying that someone had quit and that was just circumstantial overtime and that wasn't his regular amount. And they denied my appeal anyway. Wow. And it took me 4 more years to be able to get back on insurance. And the bad part is that I was already starting to have symptoms of this disease that basically hijacked my entire health that I couldn't get back from. And if I had had that insurance for even 2 more weeks, I would have gotten an appointment that would have gotten me into a special tier of qualification that they would have I would have been able to get it differently sooner.
Gotcha.
It took me that 4 years when I finally did get it. It wasn't because they opened it up normal. It was because after me calling every few months over and over again through that whole time, a woman finally took pity on me and said there is this one number you can call when you have extraneous health issues. But she even said, don't tell them that I gave you the number. Like, you just got it.
Yeah.
And so I called it, and that was the ticket right there. That was when I got signed up and started going to the county clinic, and where I got, where I got help with the anemia and the sleep apnea was the first steps there. And I was inexplicably not diabetic somehow, like at my size and what I ingested and my family history and everything. That didn't come along until probably 2017 or so. And I did have healthcare throughout that time after that, but there was still a lot of like when I fell and hurt my knee, you get rotated in a county clinic through doctors, and the doctor that I saw that day told me that I was just overweight and 35 and I just needed to do better. And I had actually fallen and hit a tree stump on my knee, which tore my meniscus. So because she wouldn't help me and told me that I just needed to lose weight, I just kept waiting for it to heal and everything, and it never did. And by the time I finally got another doctor, they just went with her diagnosis and started giving me cortisone injections, which I would have taken probably anyway, even if I knew everything, because I couldn't walk. I was literally at a point of not being able to walk. And at that size, and I didn't know I had HEDS yet, but I was definitely experiencing the symptoms of it. I was never going to be able to learn more upper body and just be able to like do stuff like that because I would always get injuries from it. So I was headed to nursing home town. And like when they sent this other doctor finally, because I got stuck downtown, I literally couldn't go home. I had to be transported to the hospital to be, they gave me like Toradol and some pain pills and stuff. And then I had to be hoisted up my stairs. But finally, after a bunch of all of that went on, I finally got the other doctor to take, he's like, well, it has been a long time since you've ever had a picture of your knee, which was before that actual fall before. So he sent me in, and it turned out all of that time gone by, I had no knee left. The meniscus is disintegrated. Wow. There's no soft tissue left in that knee. It's just bone on bone. So then after they told me all that, and they're like, well, we do knee surgeries for that. We do replacements. In the same breath almost, they said, but you can't have one because I'm not surgery safe. They said it would be 50% chance that I would lose the leg during surgery because they wouldn't be able to finish the hardware job, or 75% chance that I would lose it within 6 months because of infection. Because of my history of infections, and especially in the cellulitic areas and things like that. So it was a no-go for them, and I didn't argue with them with those numbers. So still today, I'm walking around on bone, which at that time, I was barely getting around. I had to ride the cart in the store. I was getting help to walk through my house even, that kind of thing. But I finally met a physical therapist, been to probably 30 of them, finally met one who knew a lot about mobility issues because of their own, and actually took and did like a full body evaluation of me. And we found out that I had severe muscular, it's not muscular dystrophy, but when your muscles, they don't work anymore, they won't go up. You can't flex them or anything. So like he's telling me to flex my leg and nothing. He's like, you can do it now. You're like, I'm trying my level best. I'm giving you all I got right now. And then started doing a lot of measurements for my movement and everything, and started treating me like a 90-year-old instead of a 35-year-old. And guess what? I started being able to walk again pretty soon. Wow. They taught me that to build these muscles above my knee, like a triangle above my knee, because it acts like a sling. For some of the other stuff. And it's still hard to walk. And a lot of times I'll use my cart or my cane. Sometimes I don't use anything. But I never thought I would walk. I'm not even supposed to be able to walk anymore. Wow. And now I'm walking like this. It is. It's huge. And but I still would get injuries all the time. Finding that balance between pushing just enough, because the regular amount of good pushing is too much for me. But being able to acknowledge that I do have to treat myself like a 90-year-old, because I actually keep getting better that way. most people would think, no, you're going to slow down if you do that.
Right.
But that's not the case when you're starting that low on the movement scale.
So what you mentioned that you have, was it HEDS?
Yes.
What can you
Hypermobility Ehlers-Danlos syndrome.
Okay.
It's a connective tissue disorder.
Okay.
So when things, just general movements, it's one of the reasons I was so good at gymnastics, though. So yay for that.
Yeah.
I couldn't do things like the
I had
the horse.
Whatever. Yeah.
I couldn't do the horse. But I was pretty good at the balance beam and bars, and floor stuff was good because bars and floor stuff, you're moving.
It's like flexibility.
Yeah, it's flexibility, and it's not stamina. So like my whole entire life, no matter how thin or athletic I was, I couldn't do a pull-up. Now I think it's probably because my connective tissues didn't work very well because I didn't weigh very much, and I was very good on the bars. I was very strong.
Yeah.
But on the bars, you fling yourself. So now that I know a little more about physics and stuff too, I go, oh, that's why I can tolerate those kinds of movements and not, or could. And I couldn't tolerate stationary sport type things. But everything where it was a constant movement thing, I did well in.
When did you find out that this was what it was?
This year.
Really?
This year.
And
yep.
Yeah, how did you find out?
I met a naturopath here who also has it and kind of noticed it. And there were other people too. Like before I even got to the naturopath, there was a couple other people I saw here who asked me, I wonder, has anyone ever evaluated you?
Yeah. Oh,
and someone asked me at OHSU also, but they didn't, at OHSU, they didn't take it anywhere from that. They were just like, oh, you're hypermobile. Okay. Check box.
Right. So what kind of, what can you do for that, or is it more just an awareness?
It's more of an awareness and being more careful because like when I get an injury, knowing that no, it's not going to heal in the 2 to 4 weeks that are prescribed or whatever.
I see.
Knowing that I have bigger reactions, I do for a lot of reasons, but why it takes so long for me to heal from injuries because the connective tissue isn't healing the way that it typically would. Just and another thing about having, like, this is a little bit of a spin-off, but does relate to having OHP and how you deal with doctors, is that when I left with diabetic ketoacidosis, they were happy to send me home on all of the metformin, all of the long-acting, and all of the short-acting insulin without telling me, like, basically saying, this is your new life, and there's no way out of it. When my sister mentioned that I had a degree in science, they said, hold on. And they gave me a test about like titration. And so basically the doctor asked me to teach her how to titrate. And so I did. And she goes, okay, this is what we're going to do. So she gave me the formula for titration for insulin specifically. Okay. And then I was to stay in contact with my primary after I got home. And because she knew I had those skills and she gave me that formula, I was able to go home and do my food diary. And as my blood sugars were consistently dropping, I could like reduce my medication on my own and then check in with my doctor, let him know what was going on. And we were able to do that. And within 4 months, I went from being on 80 milligrams or 80 units. They don't do milligrams. They do like IUs for insulin. 80 IUs of long acting or I broke it up in twice a day. And then 15 units 3 times a day with meals for short acting. And I had like 2,000 milligrams of metformin on board. And by the like 4-month mark or so, I was off everything.
Wow.
Simply because of doing the dietary stuff, which I did not just eat what they told me to because that doesn't work.
Yeah.
My body responds to different things. Like they're saying, oh, you can eat that. And then my body goes, 201. No, you can't. And they'll say, oh, you can't have that. And my body goes, 138. I can have that.
Interesting, yeah.
And I know from other diabetics, like some of us can eat honey and we do really well with it, and others cannot tolerate honey.
Yeah, it's just so dependent on your own body.
There's a whole lot of things going on inside your body, yeah.
Exactly.
So I just found that very interesting also that, I think it's the assumption that, and it might be the assumption across some other just like the whole patient spectrum, but I think it is especially in OHP based on when I talk to other people who have what I call good insurance, that it's assumed a lot that if you have OHP that you don't have a background in anything. that you can only be on benefits of some kind if you've never been productive member of society kind of thing. So they don't really talk to you about, they'll throw a diagnosis at you and a pill, but they don't talk to you about it. That's one of the things that I've really loved about here is that every single thing that I learn about, they explain everything.
Nice.
No matter who I'm talking to or what it is that I'm learning, things are being explained. Like the POTS, the MCAS, and the HEDS. Not only was it things explained to me in the appointments a lot, a whole class series was held on it.
Amazing.
So that I could learn these things, you know, and who knew that I could make my own electrolytes without making myself very ill, because I certainly can't be drinking Gatorade. That will make me very sick. Yeah. And a lot of those other alternative ones not only will make me sick, but even there's a couple clean ones I understand, but I can afford that. It's like $1.50 a day. That adds up, you know, quite a bit.
Yeah, that's great then.
So it's just a lot of that. And even when I'm in like acupuncture and massage here, I get told what's happening. I'm putting this needle here because I'm pushing this pressure spot because. And that helps me because even though I'm not going to learn in one session, I know, you know, that touches my pancreas. But because I keep coming back, because I keep having sessions, and a lot of times we hit same spots, that information eventually starts to sink into my brain. And then when I leave here, I have more tools. You know, like I never heard of a psoas before, but you know, I have now, and now I know that even though I don't know how to massage it, I can put heat packs there that will cause me some relief, you know, things like that, like actually explaining the mechanics, not do this because one sentence, why, that I said, because this is how the mechanics work and this is why it will work. And for me, that works. Even when I was my whole life, I need to know why.
Yeah, well, I think what you've been saying about your experiences throughout your life, it sounds like consistently people are just treating this one, like the one issue that's right in front of their face, maybe. And
yeah, symptom. They don't ever look at the root of the problem. They look at the symptoms. And here we're looking at roots of things. And that's what helps me get around better now, because we're looking at roots of things.
Because it's all connected anyways.
It is. It is. And you go to the regular office and it's like, you've got 15 minutes. You're allowed to tell me 3 symptoms. And, you know, if you're upset, then I'm not going to help you at all. Well, when your whole system is crashing inside, like not just mentally, like your physical system is crashing, you're going to be upset.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time trying to learn how to pretend that I was okay long enough to get through the doctor's appointment so that they would even talk to me, even a little bit.
Right.
And so I get a lot of feedback now. Oh, you're just always in such a good mood when you get here. And because I have learned that if I am anything else, then I will not get any of your actual attention. You will just barely look at me and barely talk to me. But if I'm more like pleasant, if you will, or whatever, and just pretending that I'm okay, well, then they're fine. But the second, like if you're, oh my gosh, don't cry in a doctor's office, because unless you want a Xanax handed to you, but I can't have those either, by the way, because they induced my anxiety.
Oh, yeah,
which,
really?
Yeah, which took a long time. I kept telling them, I'm not having an anxiety attack. I'm not, I know what that is. I have had them. This is not what that is. And then here I learned it's my POTS, because my heart rate and my blood pressure are going up. And
what is that?
And I'm upset.
For again?
Postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome.
Okay.
It's autonomic nervous system condition.
Okay.
So the things that we kind of take for granted that we just do, like our breathing, sweating, heart rate, I mean, just everything that you don't have to intentionally decide you're going to do, that's your autonomic nervous system working, and mine just doesn't quite do what it's supposed to. So it gets imbalanced very easily. My temperature, for example, I'm very intolerant to temperature change, more so heat since the heat stroke, but I've always been, like, even as a kid, part of the reason I like to climb trees so much is because it's nice and cool and shady up there.
Yeah.
So when the kids are all playing outside and I'm going, man, my tummy hurts and my head hurts, and they're like, oh, you're fine. I'm either over there hiding next to a wall or something, but if there's a tree to climb, that's where I want to be, because also you get that nice breeze going through up there, and I always loved sitting up there. It just always made me feel better.
I mean, yeah, being in nature, like
that too. I mean,
healing. Yeah.
And that's a part that was not on my radar that young or whatever, but I did know that I was getting relief, that I was cooled off and my headache was going away.
Yeah. So what What services have you, like, I know you're engaged in Wish, but within Wish, what elements are you participating in? Like, sounds like you have the naturopath and
I see a naturopath, I see acupuncturists every week, I see massage twice a month.
okay.
Um, I do Qigong
Mm-hmm.
via Zoom, which is a meditative movement, guided movement
Mm-hmm.
therapy, which is really nice. Like I tried to do the chair yoga, which is also offered here,
Mm.
but my body just wouldn't allow me to do that. I think it's
Yeah,
because of all of those injuries when they didn't heal right. It's
sure.
like a lot of these joints have injuries, so there's things that I definitely can't do.
Yeah.
And even simple things, seemingly simple things. So, but the Qigong has been the one I've been most successful with. So I've been
Nice.
kind of very intentional about going, not kind
Mm-hmm.
of, I've been very intentional about making sure I do that on Fridays.
Mm-hmm.
And then on Wednesdays, I do like a craft group therapy.
Nice.
That's also Zoom, but you can go to that one in person too. It's just in Oregon City, and I am far east. So,
Okay, yeah.
and then I've been doing twice a month just because I have other groups that I run outside of this.
Mm-hmm.
I do two crochet therapy groups here a month. I don't run them necessarily, I like help a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's see what else. I tried physical fitness, but that was proving to put me in flare up over and
Mm-hmm.
over again, and I couldn't find
Mm-hmm.
my kind of spot there. It was a
Yeah.
really good resource though. Like
Mm-hmm.
I was really impressed with what was there to
Nice.
offer.
Yeah.
And the support there
Mm-hmm.
was unparalleled to anything I've ever seen,
Mm-hmm.
which is true of a lot of the
Oh,
things that I experience here.
yeah.
Um,
And do you work with a peer as
I
well?
do. I have a peer.
Nice.
That's usually like I've had two different peers here. So sometimes
Uh-huh.
it's been every 2 weeks, and sometimes it's
Mm-hmm.
been every week. And
Mm-hmm.
that's just a really nice check-in
Mm-hmm.
because as everyone in the world, life is happening all the time.
Yes.
You know, people are passing away, people are, you're sick, your car goes down, just like
Mm-hmm.
things are happening, financial things are happening in your
Right.
family. Um, and when you add that to all the other daily maintenance of just trying to keep yourself going,
Yeah,
it can be pretty overwhelming,
for
even more
sure.
so. And so having just like a check-in is helpful. Also, if I don't know how to do something, like
Mm-hmm.
if I'm curious about something, well, I heard someone talking about something else that was going on,
Mm-hmm.
whether they're a Wish participant or maybe they're in the
Mm-hmm.
FSR program or something. I've been able to go to my peer and say, "Hey, is this? I know someone in FSR and they do this. Is this available for me also?"
Mm. Cool.
So that's a nice thing. Plus,
Yeah.
it's a good resource share, and sometimes
Mm-hmm.
the peers can help some of the clients get connected with each other
Oh,
if we
nice.
ask. Like,
Yeah.
I've never had a peer go, "Do you want to talk to that person?" But
Right.
I have gone to the peer and said, "Hey, I met this person.
Uh-huh.
Would you mind letting them know that I'd like to give them my phone number or something?"
Yeah.
Or like you can do that, and it puts me in touch.
That's
Sometimes I
cool.
just get the number while I'm here, but sometimes you
Right. You
forget,
miss them.
or if you're in a Zoom or a Teams or whatever, maybe like I publicize my number for other reasons, but maybe you don't want to put your phone number in the whole chat or
Sure.
something, because maybe you're a really private person and don't give
Mm-hmm.
your phone number out or something.
Yeah.
So
It's
that's
nice to have that
nice.
bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then finding out about like I was not going to be able to go to functional fitness when I wanted to because it's not on site, and
Mm-hmm.
finding out through my peer that there was actually a shuttle. So if I came
Mm-hmm.
just a little bit early and texted the person who does the shuttle, then
Mm-hmm.
they would transport me back and forth,
Nice.
which made it absolutely possible because I take paratransit.
Mm-hmm.
So like if the gym shuts down right after our class,
Mm-hmm.
there's no place for me to sit or to be or do anything for waiting for my ride to come pick
Yeah.
me up. So that was definitely a deal breaker for me to even be able to try it. So it was
Right.
great that that service was in place.
Yeah. What do you think has been some of the most helpful stuff that you've learned here? Or
The explaining of mechanisms for
yeah.
things has been huge.
Yes.
Basically, being treated like I have a brain, like
Mm-hmm.
I'm an educated person,
Mm-hmm.
has been a big deal. And then, second of all, just the support because it doesn't. You know how I talked about before, that you won't get helped, like if you're
Mm-hmm.
having a bad day and maybe
Mm-hmm.
you're having a little bit of a meltdown or something because you're in so much pain, or
Sure.
because your cousin, your favorite cousin, just passed away or something.
Yeah.
You go to the doctor's appointment and you're in your headspace with that, and you can't get any help. But if I come here, You know what? Somebody asked me. And
What's
then
going on?
5 minutes, it takes 5 minutes for me to have someone just go, all right, yeah, that's hard. Okay. Is
Yeah.
there, do you want to work towards that? How do you want to incorporate that into your treatment today, even or something,
Yeah.
Because sometimes the last time I did massage, I said, well, these things are going on, they're getting better every time that we do it. So like, and it's only been a few times so far, so I'd like to touch on those. But if we have more time, I'd really like to know if you have any ideas about just getting me relaxed and stuff. Because I like yesterday. I'm not sorry, it was the day before yesterday. I knew that yesterday was going to be an even harder day than I was already having. So I was like, I
Yeah.
just really need the mental health boost.
Yeah.
So can we like, and I ended up with getting a little bit of cranial massage and stuff,
Oh,
which
cool.
actually really helped to
Oh,
recenter me
good.
for the day. And it
That's
helped me
awesome.
stay on track for being centered the next day.
Yeah.
Because if I hadn't gotten centered on Tuesday, then I wasn't going to wake up Wednesday and go, okay, let's listen to my rain in the background.
Right.
Let's do my little things that help me take care of myself so I can be in my best headspace when I
Yeah.
get to my this other doctor's appointment. That's going to be
Yeah.
hard. So,
So, yeah.
that was nice. The
Mm-hmm.
person I saw just sat down and, oh, that
Got
sounds
more
really
ideas.
hard. And, do you have a plan for that? And okay, well, and then so, and we just
Yeah.
worked on that stuff
That's
too, and
awesome.
it was great.
Yeah.
And I felt already less emotional before I even got on the table.
Oh,
Just because
nice.
someone didn't tell me just to suck it up when everything was falling apart,
Yeah.
and we're like,
Like
oh,
the acknowledgement that,
yes,
like,
yeah.
okay,
And then
yeah.
it's like, okay, I'm gonna take a breath now.
Right.
And even though it's not like it all goes away, now you're in this
Yeah.
place where you can take your breaths and
You're
stuff.
just, yeah, just
Yeah.
feeling seen, I feel
Yeah.
like is
And
huge.
that incorporation of because of participating in all the different types of activities that I do, then when I'm in massage or when I'm in acupuncture, I'm doing my breathing from Qigong.
Mm.
So
Mm-hmm.
being able to kind of incorporate those things together because I think I get more out of my because I'm someone who has like 127 channels on all the
Mm-hmm.
time, okay?
Yeah.
All the time. And so being able to remember to breathe, even if I'm actually just sitting there telling myself over and over to breathe again, it
Mm.
took me 4 months of acupuncture to be able to relax.
Wow.
It's not because no one else was doing it, it was because I couldn't get my brain there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I started incorporating the other stuff. And then it's like, okay, do this. And then and at first I could only get there for 5 or 10 minutes. But
Mm.
now I enjoy my entire acupuncture time.
Mhm.
I can not take a nap, but I can relax. One time, a
Right.
couple weeks ago, my acupuncturist came in and I didn't even hear them.
Oh,
And if you know about me, I'm hyper aware, very hyper aware to every little sound, everything around me. And that person
that's
pointed
great.
out that's a sign that your nervous system is calming
Relax.
down.
Yeah.
And I was like, I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Nice. What are some of, I mean, you've already mentioned them, but like some improvements that you've seen
Um,
since being here?
so I am at first, I came in here thinking I want to just be able to walk further and stuff. But
Yeah.
what actually turned into is that now I'm so busy that I don't have the stamina to walk. But guess what? Before, I wasn't coming to all of my doctor's appointments, and I didn't have near as many then as I do now because I hurt too bad, or my headspace was too low. All of these things, and I physically was not able to shower more than twice a week. And
Mhm.
one of them didn't even include my hair.
Yeah.
And now I'm taking a minimum of 2 and up to 4 showers per
Yeah.
week. So that's pretty huge
That is.
because like taking a shower, I have to take a break after,
Yeah.
especially if I wash my hair, it's a lot longer break. But not only am I getting those showers in, I'm still going somewhere that day.
Right.
Which before it's like I'm choosing. I had to take the shower the day before so that I could do the thing the
Yeah.
next day.
Yeah.
And so even though I'm not able to suddenly, I can't walk a mile or whatever, which I had gotten to at one point, but at that point everything was shut down and I didn't have any doctor's appointments or any obligations, so I wasn't allowed anywhere. So I was able to get up to that walking stamina. Um, so even though like that one hasn't achieved, there's like 10 more goals that I achieved that I didn't realize I had.
Yeah,
Like
like what?
I can unload the dishwasher more times during the week now. I sometimes get my own clothes out of the dryer now, which was absolutely not a thing before.
Yeah.
Um, The day that I met you, actually, I was so
Yeah.
excited because I put my shoes on when I was sitting
Woo!
down. I mean, they're Velcro, but still, I couldn't do that
Yeah.
before. And I like leaned all the way down. I didn't have to hold on to anything. I
Wow.
wasn't falling over.
Heck
Um,
yeah.
I was in a place before where
All right, we are going to pause here and we will pick back up in part 2 of the episode. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, stay tuned for more. You can support us by leaving us a rating or a review, and consider supporting our efforts here at Quest Center with a donation at quest-center.org/contribute. Every little bit makes a difference. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.